All right, guys, if you had the money to build your own house, should you actually be your own bank? Let's get into it. All right, guys, this is Emmett Stallworth again, the Alpha Builder. The Builder Builders is what I'm trying to do. Guys, actually, content creates content. I did a video about, the video was about credit. It was a video done last week. And I was actually saying that, in most cases, you have to be the personal guarantor for your company. So when you start a building company, you have to be the personal guarantor. So that means you need to get your credit right, because if you guys are going to get a loan to build or to build a spec home or whatever it is, especially to grow your company, you're probably going to have to go to a bank. But somebody actually, there was a brother that came on, he commented, which was a good comment, because I like it was such a great comment that I like to talk about this. And let me close this right here. So he said that I forgot where he was. It might have been in, I don't know, North Carolina, but he had actually saved up money. And he said we'd had a foreclosure or something, or had some credit issues in the past. And so he didn't have any credit. So he actually had to save up and actually build a house, as he went. So let's kind of discuss that, guys. I think there are three ways that you can build houses. This may get into me, guys. I'm gonna try to go in deep on this right here, but there's a lot to explain. As you guys see, I have a lot to unpack if you look at my notes. So I'm gonna try to keep this organized and make sure, I make the points that I need to make. Now, one way that you can build, let's just go in a couple different ways that you can build. We know that you can go to a bank and get a loan. But like I said, you got to have your credit. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that last. But I'm just going to put bank here. But the other ways that you can do it, guys, one is you can save all the money up. You can save it up. Once you get you enough money, you can build it. Let's talk about that one first. Or, so you can save it up. The next way is to just pay as you get the money. So kind of pay as you go. I call that piece building. All right. So let's start with the one that's in the middle first. I want to, let's talk about what if you want to finance your house yourself and you want to save that money up, save it up enough to where eventually you have enough money to just go ahead and build a house outright. Just like a bank for the most part, but you saved all the money up and you actually are doing what the banks are normally doing. All right, there's a couple of different issues with this. I'm not saying it can't be done, guys, so don't think that I'm speaking against this right here. By all means, man, I'm saying that you could try this if that's the way you want to do it. But you got to look at what kind of builder you want to be first. Okay. If you want to be a builder as a side hustle, this is just like, and I've seen some people that do this, guys. You get firemen when they work 2 days and they off 2 or 3 days, they can actually go out here and they can kind of do this right here, almost like full-time builders. I've seen firemen do that. If you got a job like that, say for instance, my job, what I do is I teach night classes for the most part. And sometimes I teach day classes, but most of the time I teach night classes. So my whole days are free. Monday through Friday, my whole days are free. So I can actually build full-time. Actually, I can have 2 full-time jobs. I can teach. And teaching, to be honest with you guys, teaching to me is not even a job. It's more like a hobby. It's what I like to do. Building is the same thing. But building is more that's my main game, okay? So you can do it that way. So you got to determine what kind of builder you want to be. Now, guys, if you want to be a bigger builder where you're building several houses a year, you have to understand that you got to get reps in. It's just like baseball. I used to coach baseball. My son was playing baseball when he was little. The one thing that we focused on is reps. Let's get the ball, just hit it to him. Get the ball, hit it to him. Rep. I repped him out. They became good just on reps. You guys, and it's the same thing with building, guys. If you're going to be a successful builder, you have to build enough houses to get a system in place. Basically reps. You got to get those systems and reps in place. So it may take you about 15, at least 10 to 15 houses before you start to feel real comfortable building. You got to get those reps in. And so you got to determine what kind of builder you want to be. But we just want to assume that you want to be a builder. You want to be a 5 to 6 houses a year, and you want to contract with people, because you got to understand, you got to be on top of your game when you're out here selling or entering into contracts with homeowners. If you don't have this stuff together, especially in their mind, they're looking at a house as being the biggest investment, and you're not, and you mess around and you do something wrong in that house because you didn't get enough reps, you don't understand all there is to know, or most of the stuff, at least 80 to 90% of what you need to understand about building, you don't understand that stuff, you can get yourself into a whirlwind. And I'm talking about a whirlwind with that homeowner, and these people will sue you, man. They will litigate you to death. Because in their mind, they just spent the most money they're ever going to spend, and you messed it up. So you got to get the reps. You got to determine what kind of builder you want to be, guys. Now, I'm just assuming everybody want to be that builder, 5 to 6 hours a year, similar to what I do. If you want to be a builder like that, to that magnitude, or even if you want to be a production builder, let's say you try to save up enough money to build. So you're just getting started. This is the goal. You want to be that builder, building, have your business, and you want to, your first build job, you want to save up all the money, and you build that house. You become your own bank, basically. Well, guys, here's what you're going to run into. So right now, the average cost in the United States of the average house is about $500,000. So let's just say, man, I don't know what kind of job you got, man, but let's just assume that you can save up, I don't know, $50,000 a year. I'm just being very modest. So you got $50,000 a year that you're gonna save up, right? So that means it's gonna take you, let me see, 1, 2, that's 100,000. 2, guys, it's gonna take you almost 10 years to save up enough money. It's gonna take you about 10 years to save up $500,000. 10 years. 10 years, guys, to save up that money, $500,000. Now, let's understand this right here too. So even if it took you 10 years, let's just say you did that. You saved up $50,000 a year for 10 years. You saved up $500,000, right? To build an average house in the United States. By the time that 10 years is up, that same $500,000 house, which was the norm today, now it's $700,000 to $800,000. Because what you're not calculating in is inflation and taxes. Each year, guys, inflation, it carries the cost of things up. So that money that you're thinking $500,000 today won't get you the same amount that you can get 10 years from now. Same way, guys, if you go back 10 years ago, well, let's just say 5 years ago, look at what groceries cost 5 years ago versus grocery costs today. And I'll be honest with you, I see that every time I go to the grocery store. When I go to the grocery store, 5 years ago, I might have $200. I got a whole big buggy of groceries, maybe a buggy and a half of groceries. Good stuff too. Today, a buggy of groceries costs you $350, $400. And it's due to inflation, guys. So that becomes a problem within itself. Yeah, you got that. Now you got to build a smaller home. You got to build a lesser expensive home. Hopefully that the market would hold it. So I don't know if that's a good way. Let me just make sure I'm handling all the points here. I don't know if that's a good scenario. Even just 1 or 2 years, man, inflation and taxes, it changes. So the save up method in today's market is probably just not practical. I don't think that's a good idea. Well, let's just say, let's just say you did the pay as you go. Let's just say you're gonna pay, and every time you get your paycheck, you're gonna do a little bit more to that house. Okay, so you start out with the foundation. You save up a little bit more money. You get the other stuff, the framing package. Then you frame it, and then you get to a certain point, you make enough money, and you brick the house, then you make enough money, then you put the windows on it, and you kind of go as you go. Guys, I've seen houses like this right here. It takes forever to build those houses. Why those houses are sitting, here's some of the things you got to understand. Why those houses are sitting, they're not complete. See, what's good for a house is for people to actually live in it, because they turn on the units. And, when you turn on the HVAC unit, you actually are moving air. You don't have stale air. So you're moving the air, you're actually dehumidifying the air, which also keeps the moisture out of the house, which keeps your mold and all that kind of stuff from building up in the house. So guys, if you're building it like this right here, say for instance, you get your foundation done, it may have to sit a month or two. And guys, you got to get your slabs and stuff done. So when you get your foundation and your slab, and most of the time, these plumbers are going to use PEX piping. That PEX piping can't be exposed to the weather. That stuff is going to be sticking up out of the slab. And it can't be exposed to weather over a certain amount of time. Then, now you got to babysit that stuff, So if you got that PEX pipe, you might have to go out there and wrap it. You might have to put something over it. So you just can't leave the foundation just sitting there. You got to get some work done. And, guys, if you framed the house, let's just say you framed the house, you hadn't put the windows and the doors in, or even if you drive the house in, moisture still getting in that house. Like in my area, you got moisture, you got humidity already in the house. And since you're not turning on the HVAC unit, you're not removing that humidity out of the house. And then even water, you may have, it's just, the house is really just exposed to the elements. So now you're dealing with, you may have mold build up in that house. It's just not a good idea. And not only that, guys, you expose that house where thieves can come by and start stealing stuff. Or you can get squatters that want to come in, and it depends on where you're at or what side of town you building that house. So squatters to come in there. And now you got to deal with that stuff. And one of the main things is that when you're doing 1 or 2 houses like this, say for instance, it takes you a whole year to build this house. I think where this guy was, after 1 year, they can actually sell the house and they can make a profit from it. Now in Alabama, it's 2 years before you have to pay capital gains taxes. Guys, this is not giving you enough reps. We talked about reps earlier. If you want to be a builder, you got to decide what kind of builder you want to be. If you want to be a builder and actually build, and you doing this to make money, you got to produce a good product for your customers. And the only way that you can understand that product is to do a lot of them. I mean, I probably built about 70, 75 houses. Thanks to America's Home Place, guys. I mean, they added a lot of them. I was a production builder over there, but they added a lot of them to my resume. But guys, because of all those reps I've had, I've seen a lot of different things that can go wrong. Guys, I've had houses right next to each other, the same floor plans, just reversed, and there was totally two different things that went wrong. What makes you a good builder is experience, guys. It's being able to handle the problems. The homeowners hire me to deal with problems, and because I have seen and I've built so many houses because I got my rep number up. I've repped out enough houses to where I kind of already know where the problems are going to be at before we even have them. I mean, just like I'm doing one right now. There's nothing that, I mean, we got that. We got the processes and protocols down pat. So you're not going to get enough reps. You know, one house every year, one house every 2 years, and then you selling that to somebody. You're trying to learn this thing. You're trying to learn this game and figure this stuff out. I get it, man. You want to be your own bank, man. And that's, to me, man, that's admirable. That's awesome. You being your own bank, you paying for it yourself. But these are the issues that you're going to run into. So now, is it worth the money? Or is it worth producing a good quality product for that person that you're going to sell it to? That's what you got to think about. I've always thought about, if I add value to my customer's life, then I've done my job. And the value I add to it is my knowledge base. My knowledge base, and the way I built my knowledge base is through reps. I built enough of them to understand this thing, to understand the science behind how a house is supposed to be built. So I don't think you build enough reps. And then what happens if you build a house and you can't get it sold? Your marketing ain't there. Now that 1 year turned into 2 years. It could probably turn into 3 years. But not only that, you know, a house, the cost of the house is relative to the market. What if you sell it and don't make the money that you wanted to make? That becomes an issue. Now you didn't make enough money to go into the next house. You didn't make what you thought you was going to make. Now you can't, you know, now you didn't make enough to, and sometimes you got to punt them things. You got to, you know, I've had situations where, you know, I had a house and the interest, I get it, man. Those banks eat you up. That interest, those interest payments that work on you. I had to punt it. I had to get it sold. Didn't make a dime off of it. Well, didn't make nowhere near what I thought I was going to make. So that happens. What else you can have, guys? So these are the things that you run into. So these are some of the things that you're going to run into if you, I call it piecemeal. If you pay as you go, these are what you're going to run into. Like I said, guys, I get it, man. I get we don't want to pay, you know, we don't want to deal with those banks, but you guys got to understand how banks work. Once you guys should do a little research on fractional reserve banking system. So it's not a bad thing because the banks can actually help you get where you need to get quicker, help you get the reps you need to get. You can get there quicker. A bank can take, if I take $100 of my money, I'll just show you how this works. It's called fractional reserve banking. Is what the United States use. And guys, we've been off the gold standard since 1971. I think it might have been Nixon that took us off the gold standard, which means that the Federal Reserve, which is not federal at all, the Federal Reserve Bank, they can actually create money now. They don't have to show that there is gold in the bank that's backing that money. Since then, guys, the banking system was set up on the fractional reserve banking system, which means that if I put $100 in the bank can actually take that $100 and create, they can create $999 from my $100. It's $100. I'm sorry. It's actually, they can create almost $1,000 from my $100. They can amplify almost tenfold. That's the number. Sorry. So that's fractional reserve out of the thin air, guys. They can create that money out of the thin air. You just got to be able to get the credit. You got to be able to get approved for the credit. That's it. Um, so, like I said, if you do it that way, guys, if you go out here and you're a homeowner and you're trying to build you a couple of houses and sell them kind of like a side hustle, and you guys got to remember, you got to, if you're not a builder, in like in my state, if you don't stay in that house 2 years and you don't file a homestead in 2 years on that particular um, project or that structure, you got to pay capital gains taxes on that. And when you get finished paying that capital gains tax, you're going to wish you was a builder, that you had your home builder's license. So that's probably not a good idea either, guys. But guys, these are some of the things that I saw. I'm just trying to make sure I'm covering everything. And here's another thing. One thing I did talk about is that you got to have your credit right so that you can go out here and get credit with vendors. And here's something that I saw. Here's something else, guys. If you don't have accounts with these vendors, so concrete. Let's just say concrete. You got to have concrete anyway. And there's like here in Alabama, there's like 3 concrete companies. And guys, if you don't have an account with either those 3 concrete companies, if you don't have an ongoing steady account with them, you have to pay more. So if I have an account and I have a commercial account with them, I pay $120 a yard for concrete right now. If I don't have an account with that vendor, I have to pay somewhere about $180 a yard. So that actually makes that house more expensive, way more expensive than it should be. That's another thing. That's why you want it, guys. Like I said, don't get out of that. And guys, once again, it's all dependent on what kind of builder you want to be. If you want to be a guy that you just want to kind of build houses on the side, it's a side hustle for you, you can do it that way. You can piece them, you can save the bill. But if you want to be a builder, I just think the best way to do it, and you building 5, 6 houses a year and you contracting directly with these customers and you got to build your reps up, I think the best way to do it is just go ahead and get your credit. I get it, man. Some people credit jacked up, but get your credit together, guys. Get it together. If you don't have it together, do what you can do. Get those 7 years behind you and get back out here, man. Pay your guy, pay these people off. Like I said, now once you pay them off, most of these suppliers, if you guys are dealt with suppliers, once you pay them off, man, they're not going to extend you any more credit. You're done on that one. You just go to another supplier, but pay them off. Don't let them be able to hold that over your head. All right, guys, once again, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button, and guys, comment. The reason I'm doing this video right here is this brother came in and made that comment, which was enabling me to go deeper into this this ideology about being your bank. Thanks, guys. And let me see right over here. I got to put it right here. There we go. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell button. And you guys have a good one.